好，开始今日的生词4个 link logic 逻辑pursue 追求进行追赶link 斜靠倾斜 further lean forward 向前倒了向前倾斜了 leaned 加个 t 字母倾斜logically 逻辑的逻辑的和有道理它是不一样的 logic pursue 追求进行I will not pursue the point 不追究啦 pursue incline 倾斜倾向于倾斜 incline to do something 它是个 be inclined to do something lean 倾斜不是倾倒好，然后呢logically pursue 追求进行 pursue incline 倾向于incline to do something incline to do something 倾倒不是倾斜它是好对 logic 我们逻辑的有道理的不是有逻辑的逻辑的讲解 pursue 追求进行追求和进行这是件事情 confirm 确定是信息对进行 incline 是倾向于对完成开始今天的阅读今天是从27号到6月3号它是记那个什么的正常的8分钟嘛好今天做的好一点做的好快我觉得一直没有关系 Roger 这个人既然没有现身人们可以对他怀疑就更加加深了畏罪潜逃了 Mr. Parrot 提出昨天生的指纹有可能是凶手为了迷惑他们而用 Mix Ackroyd 的手伪造的智商 Inspector Roger 受到了启发在随后的家庭会议上他们开了一个家庭的酒宴成员是6个人还是7个人我忘记了昨天晚上他说过会议上 Mr. Point 希望 Miss Flora 能够请到恢复看回来就是他避免越来越严重但是呢这个 Mr. Flora 小声in a low voice 说 too late 太晚了Parrot leaned forward 向前倾斜see now when the master 就是 Flora Miss Flora he said very gently
Poirot leant forward. See now, mademoiselle, he said very gently. It is Papa Poirot who asks you this. The old Papa Poirot who has much knowledge and much experience. I would not seek to trap you, mademoiselle. Will you not trust me and tell me where Ralph Peyton is hiding? The girl stood. Monsieur Poirot, she said in a clear voice, I swear to you that I have no idea where Ralph is.
这句话就是我发誓我真的不知道他在哪I have no idea 就是我不知道的意思 Where Ralph is Monsieur Poirot 继续
And that I have neither seen him nor heard from him either on the day of the murder or since. She sat down again. Poirot brought his hand down on the table with a sharp sound. That is that, he said. His face hardened. Now, I ask everyone sitting around this table, Mrs. Ackroyd, Major Blunt, Dr. Shepherd, Mr. Raymond, you are all...
你看这些人都是和Mr. Ackroyd 密切相关的他的妹妹他的秘书然后这个是从非洲赶过来是和叫 Flora 的叫 Flora 小姐姐过来的Yeah, all friends of the missing man
Friends of the missing man. If you know where Ralph Peyton is hiding, speak out. There was silence. Messieurs et mesdames, said Poirot, understand this. I mean to arrive at the truth. The truth, however ugly in itself, is always strange and beautiful to those who search for it. I tell you, I intend to know. And I will know, in spite of you all. How do you mean, in spite of us all? Raymond asked. Just that, monsieur. Every one of you in this room is hiding something from me. He raised his hand as a faint murmur of protest arose. It may be something unimportant that you do not think affects the case.
就是说，里面事情瞒着我，你不给我交代清楚了，我不好办案。然后他这句话什么意思 ？It may be something unimportant， 这可能有些不重要的事情 that you do not think affects the case。你们认为不重要的事情，其实它对这个案子影响很大，很关键。
It may be something unimportant that you do not think affects the case, but there it is. Each one of you has something to hide. Come now. Am I right?
我说清楚了吗？
He looked questioningly at each of us, and every pair of eyes dropped before his. Yes, mine as well. I am answered, said Poirot with a strange laugh. He got up from his seat and went out. That evening, at Poirot's request, I went over to his house after dinner. He had placed a bottle of whisky on a small table, with water and a glass. He himself was making hot chocolate. He inquired politely about my sister, who he said was a most interesting woman. You will have got all the local gossip from her, I said. True and untrue. And a great deal of valuable information, he added quietly. Women, they are marvellous. They observe 1,000 little details without knowing that they are doing so. Their subconscious mind adds these little things together, and they call the result intuition. I wish you'd tell me, I said, what you really think of it all. You have seen what I have seen. Should our ideas not be the same? I'm afraid you're laughing at me. I've no experience of matters of this kind. Poirot smiled at me. So I give you then a little lecture. The first thing is to get a clear history of what happened that evening, always remembering that the person who speaks may be lying. Now, first, Dr. Shepherd leaves the house at 10 minutes to 9. How do I know that? Because I told you so. You might not be speaking the truth. But Parker also says that you left the house at 10 minutes to 9, so we accept that and pass on. At 9 o'clock, you leave the park gates. How do I know that that is so? I told you so, I began again, but Poirot interrupted me with a gesture of impatience. Ah, you are a little stupid tonight, my friend. You know that it is so, but how am I to know? You do not use your little grey cells. Now, what did you think of the parlourmaid's story? Does it take half an hour to dismiss a servant? Was the story...
What did you think of the parlourmaid's story? 这个 Does it take half an hour? 半小时，然后去解释一个 servant。就你管一句话就完了嘛？为什么花半小时？他有点不清楚了。Was the story of those important papers true？ 是不是这些 papers true？ 这 papers 是不是他那些烟？就是他烟的条款 ，items of the 烟啊。Tell me now your own ideas。说你太复杂了，这个事情确实是。
Those important papers true? Tell me now your own ideas. I took a piece of paper from my pocket. I wrote down a few suggestions, I said. But excellent. You have method. Let us hear them. To begin with, one must look at the thing logically. Just what my poor friend Hastings used to say, interrupted Poirot. But alas, he never did so. Point number 1. Mr. Ackroyd was heard talking to someone at 9:30. Point number 2. At some time during the evening, Ralph Peyton must have come in through the window. The prints of his shoes tell us that. Point number 3. Mr. Ackroyd would only have let in someone he knew. Point number 4.
Wow, 会不会是个勒索？会不会是个勒索案？blackmail，然后把他儿子勒索掉了，然后他儿子来这里，事情这样，他儿子的血，他儿子来这里，然后又走了，然后可能是会不会是他儿子问他要一笔钱，然后去救某个人？那这种，但是我现在你看把 Miss Ackroyd， 然后和他儿子、他的继子，然后还有火车站联系打电话，就 blackmail， 就是为什么来勒索什么？然后他儿子为什么去火车站？是为了救谁？拿着钱去为了救谁？然后那 purpose 到底是写了些什么东西？
The person with Mr. Ackroyd at 9:30 was asking for money. We know Ralph Payton needed money. These 4 points go to show that the person with Mr. Ackroyd at 9:30 was Ralph Payton. But we know that Mr. Ackroyd was alive at 9:45. Therefore, it was not Ralph who killed him. Ralph left the window open. Afterwards, the murderer came in that way. Decidedly, you have little grey cells, of a kind, said Poirot. But what about the telephone call, the pushed-out chair? Then there is the missing £40, given by Ackroyd to Ralph. He may have reconsidered his first refusal. That still leaves one thing unexplained. Why was Blunt so certain that it was Raymond with Mr. Ackroyd at 9:30? He explained that, I said. I will not pursue the point. Tell me instead, what were Ralph Payton's reasons for disappearing? Ackroyd was murdered a few minutes after Ralph left. He must have been afraid he would be accused and ran away. Men have been known to act guiltily when they're perfectly innocent. Yes, that is true, said Poirot.
这句话什么意思？人通常会知道去扮演那种内疚，当他们是非常的无辜的时候，就当他们非常无辜清白的时候，人们就会知道去内疚。But we must not forget one thing. 我们不要忘记了一件事情。
But we must not forget one thing.
Motive, 动机。
I know what you're going to say. Motive. Ralph Payton inherits a great fortune by his stepfather's death. That is one motive, agreed Poirot. But do you realize that there are 3 separate motives staring us in the face? Somebody stole the blue envelope and its contents. That is one motive. Blackmail. And the blackmailer could have been Ralph Payton. Then there is the fact that he was in some sort of trouble which he feared Ackroyd might discover. And finally, there is the one you have just mentioned. Well, I said, the case does seem strong against him. Does it? Said Poirot. That is where we disagree, you and I. 3 motives, it is almost too much. I'm inclined to believe that, after all, Ralph Payton is innocent.
对，凭感觉，我也感觉这个是无辜的。Why did Mr. Poirot say in spite of you? 哇，这题开始变难的了。He believes that the murder was among the family members. He was saying that the people around the table was hiding something. He was saying that he already knew the name of the killer. Why did Mr. Poirot say that women are murderers? 他们可以把细节总结，然后认为 tutus 啊。They could have saved lots unconsciously. They are always discussed by others. They are interesting and humorous. Or did Poirot think that Ralph was innocent? Yes, he did. Alright， 好，今天的结束了，昨天的忘记录了啊，今天我先把今天的结束掉，我把昨天的补上。